Another crazy week in the NBA. Even during the NBA All-Star break, it seems like we can't get away from more NBA news. And this week on NBA Twitter, there were a few jersey leaks that went down with two somewhat iffy looking screenshots from a guy named Casey Vitelli on Twitter. He leaked these jerseys, and I think there is a lot of reality and realisticness to these leaks just because of what we've seen historically from some of these teams and kind of the concepts of these jerseys. I do think there's a lot of validity to this. So we're going to take our look here in this video at these NBA jersey leaks. I put a lot of work into this video, getting each and every jersey leak ready into its own slide. So we're going to be talking about all of the teams here that did have jersey leaks. If you do appreciate this kind of content and also the work that I put in here on the channel, leave a like on today's video. Also subscribe if you are new to utility sports. That'd be really helpful. Use code utility20 at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping as well. That way you can get yourself a good deal. And let's move on here to the 23 teams that are featured in this video. So 7 of the teams did not have jersey leaks, which is interesting that only 23 teams were featured in these two screenshot posts from Casey Vitelli. And you see here, the 23 teams that are featured, they're going to be going through them in this order. So we had 23 of them. We're going to be looking at each and every one of these slowly and giving my thoughts on it. I've also went through, put in a lot of work finding mock-ups of some of these new designs, and also putting in some work looking at some of the older designs of where, you know, modern NBA, maybe taking a look back at the retro fit era of some of these teams. For example, the Miami Heat, one of the teams on here, they're using a throwback jersey potentially as one of their jerseys next season. So of course, these were leaked for the 2022-2023 season. And I think it's going to be a really, really great video to showcase all of these jersey designs. There's multiple for some of the teams. Some of the teams only have one. I couldn't find mock-ups for some of the teams either. So you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of grainy footage for some of them, but we'll try our best getting through it here. And here's the leaks. These were the two screenshots from Casey Vitelli on Twitter. So you get a pretty good look at them here now. I blew up the images, made them a little bit bigger so we could maybe get a little bit better of a look. Of course, there's a lot of text over the top of them that, you know, kind of is pretty frequent with leaked jerseys like this. So let's go ahead and take a look forward here, starting with the Atlanta Hawks. This is the jersey itself. This is the image blown up a little bit. And I think it's one that really fits Georgia well. Kind of gives me that Peachtree vibe. Just being in downtown Atlanta does make a lot of sense to me. It looks really good. I could see Trae Young rocking it. And this is what the mock-up looks for. This is from Lance Heinzman on Twitter. So shout out to him. Go check him out on Twitter. Did a really good job with this. Of course, he put his logo there as the team logo. If you can see where my mouse is hovering over, usually where the brand sponsorship is. Very clever for him in his mock-up. But he did a really good job in this. I think it looks really, really good there on Trae Young. And I think it looks very accurate to what the picture was displaying. And I'm really excited about this jersey. I think it's going to be a really good one. And like I said, I think it really does suit the Atlanta Hawks there. For me, it's a nice looking jersey. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. It's pretty simplistic, but I think they did a really good job with this. If this is what the jersey is next season, I'm guessing this would be the city jersey for the Atlanta Hawks. Then moving on, we got the Boston Celtics here. And the Celtics in this one, what I'm getting here is Christmas Day vibes. When you look back when the Celtics were having Christmas Day games, this is really what jumps out to me in this blown up image. So I have a picture here of Isaiah Thomas repping that Boston Celtics Christmas Day jersey in a matchup against the Knicks a few years back. And look at the similarities here between these two. You got that cursive font across the chest. Of course, the one in Isaiah Thomas says Boston. This one back here says Celtics. But then you also have the number to the lower right quadrant. So I think that this is a really good comparison for that jersey. And I do think it looks very nice. And I think the Celtics will look good repping those jerseys as well. I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. It's a little simplistic, maybe a 6 out of 10 even. But at the end of the day, it gets the job done. I think it does look nice. Moving on to the Chicago Bulls. I do not have a mock-up of this one. I don't have another image. For me, it looks like another Chicago Bulls jersey. The Bulls usually keep it pretty low-key and simple. They don't really switch up from their design too much, and that's one of the benefits of being one of the most iconic teams in all of sports history. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and the 96 Bulls made their life easy because they've been so iconic, so historic. They haven't had to do too much work with their jerseys. Keeping it their plain black, white, and red has worked really well for them, and it looks like they're doing that again here with their city jersey going into next season. Then we have the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, another one here I do not have a mock-up of. But it looks like a pretty good purple and black combo on a white base for the jersey. The Los Angeles looks really nice across the chest, so I do think that looks pretty good. And then the boldness of the font, the number font there, does look good for me as well. I do think this is a pretty solid looking jersey. I'd probably give this one maybe a 7 out of 10. I think it'll look pretty good on a lot of the players there in Los Angeles, specifically LeBron James. This is a jersey I would probably recommend getting because of, you know, the base white, something that does look really good there for the Lakers. And then here I have another one. On this one, I actually do have a mock-up for. So there was 2 Lakers leaks in one post here from Casey Vitelli. And when you look at this one, the thing that jumps out to me is UCLA. So I chose a UCLA Russell Westbrook jersey here as kind of the base comparison, because you look at it, it's kind of got that light blue, similar color, a little bit like the Minneapolis Lakers as well. So going back to their roots, back when, you know, they had George Mikan way back in the 1950s. So it's a real throwback jersey for the Lakers, but I think it is one that does look very nice. And again, another jersey I would probably recommend getting if you are a Lakers fan. Then moving on here to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, it says the land across the chest. You got the number to the lower right-hand quadrant again. This one is interesting for me. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. I do not have a mock-up for this one. I don't have any comparison photo for this one either. So based solely off the image here, I do think it looks pretty good. I just am not exactly sure, you know, all the specific details of it, where they're going to have black piping or what's going to be on the sides completely, because this was the only aspect of the leak we got for Cleveland was a straight front shot of the body of the jersey. I think it looks good. The land across the chest looks really good. I like the boldness there, but I do not have any more specifics on this one, unfortunately. Denver Nuggets here. This one, there's a little bit more going on than what I have in my base photo comparison, but I do think it looks pretty good. Here, I have this jersey of Dikembe Mutombo with the Nuggets. I'm getting similar vibes from these 2 jerseys. Of course, there is some differences. You see the Denver in this base mock-up, in this base jersey of the league, is curved around the top. Nuggets one here is not, but I do think that there's going to be similar color usage with the blue, red, and yellow on there. So I do think it looks fairly similar to this one of Dikembe Mutombo in Denver. But I think this one's going to have a little bit more pizzazz along the side. You can see it up here. Some of the piping here is very interesting. I do like this little curvature in the Denver part as well. I do think it looks better than this jersey here, but I think that's one of the best comparisons I could find for that jersey. Moving on to my Dallas Mavericks. Here we are now with the Dallas Mavericks, and this is a little bit of a throwback to the Jason Kidd era, I believe, with this one. This is the mock-up I found. This is from Mavs Tracker on Twitter. They did a really good job with this mock-up. I do think that they have some comparisons right in this. Of course, they were able to throw in the Chime sponsorship as well on there for realism's sake. The one thing I think they're missing is I think there's going to be a little bit of green piping along the collar and along the shoulders here. Just going back to this first image, I think right in here you can see some of that green that I think they're missing, like what we have in the words Dallas and the number 46. Here they went with the number 4, of course, but overall, I do think this is a really nice looking jersey. And of course, there was some rumors to this over this past weekend that Mark Cuban would consider adding in a little bit of rebranding for the Luka Doncic era of Dallas Mavericks basketball. So that's going to be something interesting to watch. But going into next season, I do think this will be our city jersey for the Dallas Mavericks. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I think it looks good. I love the blue, green, white concept. I'm a huge fan of it. I miss our old logo with the cowboy hat on there. So I think something like this would look really good. And I could see players like Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, if he's back, Luka Doncic rocking this and them looking really good on the court. Moving on to the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, another one I do not have a mock-up of here. And it's interesting here because when you have 2 teams in Los Angeles, it's a little difficult sometimes to pick it apart, which one's which. The reason I'm confident here with this one being the Clippers is their number font is clearly what the Clippers use and not what the Lakers use. And then it also reminds me a little bit of when they went with the San Andreas theme type font across their jersey for their city jersey a few years ago. This one looks really good. Of course, obviously a different font here. I do like that it's lowercase. The L and A in Los Angeles are lowercase. I think that looks cleaner on a jersey, especially when you're using that style of font. So I do think this jersey is going to look really, really nice. I would say probably a 7.5 out of 10. It's simplistic. So if you're someone who wants to get a bunch of jerseys, I'm not sure if this is going to be the one for you. But at the end of the day, I do think it looks good, and I think it will look really good on the court. It's very clean and concise, and I actually do like the contrast between the lettering font and the number font here on this one. Then we have the Golden State Warriors. They have two different jerseys here. This one looks like it could be their city jersey, but it also looks like it could just be a new alternate jersey as well. And that's what I'm going to guess, because a few years back, they had this as a city jersey with the title The Town on it. And I thought this one looked really, really good. Of course, this is Steph Curry rocking his mid-game. And going back here, you can see that same one tree element on the jersey. I don't exactly know the name of that, but I do know that's an important part there in the Bay Area. So I know that this is linked to their city, which is why I think there's a possibility this is their city jersey. But the fact that we have another jersey coming up, I'm not exactly sure if this will be the city jersey or if this will just be an alternate, because I do think that they'll have a throwback jersey as well. Here's the other element of the leak, and this one's obvious here. This is part of the Tim Hardaway senior era of Golden State Warriors basketball. You see here, he's even got that C patch on his jersey, and we see that here again in the leak right above the A in Warriors. And if we go back here, it's essentially in that exact same spot when Tim Hardaway Sr. played. So I'm interested to see if we'll get these shorts with the Golden State logo on it as well, with the California shaping in the basketball. But I do think this one looks really, really good. I'm going to be excited to see Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson repping these, because I do think it looks really, really nice. For me, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I think that's going to be a really good transition to the modern NBA with the new Nike jerseys compared to what Tim Hardaway was rocking here. And this one is going to be very, very clean. And I think it's going to look really, really good on the floor, similar to what their Monta Ellis style jerseys when they brought them back. Modern style, I thought it looked way better than it even used to. And I think this is going to be another element where these ones, you get a little bit of that nostalgia, you get a little bit of that lore, but you bring it to the modern NBA with a really, really good roster and a really good team, and it's going to pop on the floor for sure. Moving on, we got the Memphis Grizzlies here. This one, there's a little bit of nostalgia here for me as well. I couldn't find exactly one that perfectly emulates this jersey. Of course, the first thing I thought of was Vancouver. It kind of reminds me of a Vancouver Grizzlies jersey, but I actually chose this Stromile Swift Memphis Grizzlies picture as a comparison for it. I know there are some differences. You see the M and S here are bigger on this base, and then the EMPHI is a little bit smaller in the middle. Not exactly what we see here in this one, but I do think the color usage is going to be very similar. I think they're going to work in a little bit of that teal blue and maybe even a little bit of red in this. Of course, the issue with these leaks is the pictures are so small, it's hard to see exactly what we're looking at. But I do think this looks really good. I think this is going to be a nice looking jersey on the floor. And for Grizzlies fans, you're going to want to get a Ja Morant one of these because they look really good in my estimation. Then we have the Miami Heat, another team with two leaks. In this video, they have two different jerseys we're going to be taking a look at. And this is one of those that gives me a lot of validity to these leaks, because seeing this white base jersey for the Miami Heat makes a ton of sense. They've historically done this. They've went with a city jersey. The next year, they switched from a black to white base. And I see that happening again here. And obviously, these ones are very similar to their city jerseys this year, where they've got these different font lettering where the players can pick their actual lettering font and numbers. The way that they look, it looks really, really awesome. I love these jerseys. These are some of the best jerseys in the NBA, in my opinion. And it looks like next year they're coming back with that same style, but with the white base instead. So I think that's going to look really good on the floor again. And I am really excited about it. Miami consistently kills it in the jersey game. I think they're one of the best in the NBA when it comes to city jerseys and just styles of jerseys. I think Miami does a really good job of it. And I think that next year they have another really good one coming. Then we have a throwback jersey here, and Miami Heat fans, this is one that should get you excited because I'm pretty sure new shorts are going to come with this one as well. And by new, I mean retro shorts, because they're coming back from a modern in which an era, in which Alonzo Mourning played. Of course, these are very similar jerseys. In fact, I think they are the same jersey. You see that red, white, darker red outline. And look at that. We have red, white, darker red outline, again, around the numbers. So I think that these are the exact same jerseys. We're looking at an Alonzo Mourning style jersey, and it's going to be really, really good. Heat fans, you're going to have two jerseys you're probably going to want to get, because you're going to probably want to get your Jimmy Butler or Tyler Hero or Kyle Lowry jersey of these retro ones, and you're also going to want to get that new city jersey as well. These NBA leaks are awesome. These jersey leaks are. I'm extremely excited. I put a ton of work trying to find base images for most of these. Some of them I just couldn't find any, but I think the Miami Heat here, two really good looking jerseys that I would recommend getting if I were a Heat fan. Moving on to the Milwaukee Bucks here. Whoops, we actually skipped past the leak. There's the leak itself. And of course, first thing you think here is probably Ray Allen. Of course, there's no actual deer on the jersey. So here's the mock-up. This is from Ryan and Six on Twitter. He did a really good job with these as well. And I think this looks really clean. This purple is going to look really nice. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to look awesome rocking these. We've seen the Bucks incorporate purple in the past, and I think this is another really good looking jersey. You have that slight feint of green as well with a white tiny outline around the numbers. This jersey to me does look very nice. I think the incorporation of the purple is something that the Bucks should stick to going forward. One thing I would love to see from the Bucks is going back to the Michael Redd era of jerseys as well. Don't have that in this one, unfortunately, but I do think this is a good throwback jersey for Milwaukee. And then we actually have another one as well here. And this is this blue one, which of course the Bucks have also incorporated blue in the past. They've had some crazy jerseys in the last 5 years. And this is another really good one. Here's another mock-up from Ryan and Six. And again, I think it looks phenomenal. This is a very good looking jersey. The Bucks are going to throw in a little bit of color to their jerseys next season. When you have the purple, the blue, also their base greens and white, they're going to have a really good jersey collection. I think they're going to be a really fun team to see on the floor, both based on the product that they give you with Giannis, Middleton, and Drew Holiday, but also with the jerseys that they're going to be wearing as well. I think it's going to look very nice, fresh looks for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I do think this blue with the interesting concept here on the outside, one that they've used before, is going to look really good on the court. You also see a little bit of that cream color along the collar. So I think that Ryan and Six did a really good job looking at these jerseys and mocking them up. And I think this is really accurate to what it's going to end up looking like on the actual floor. Moving on to the New Orleans Pelicans. Here we are with another very intriguing color combination here. And of course, the first thing that jumps out to me is the jerseys they wore a couple of years ago and have used as alternates since then is this white, purple, greenish, teal, and yellow jersey. Of course, I have one of these as Alonzo Ball jersey. Unfortunately, he did leave New Orleans, so that jersey is a little outdated now itself. But it does look like they are bringing that style back here, but instead they're using a darker base around it instead of the white base. And I do think this will look nice with Zion Williamson hopefully playing games next season, rocking that. It will look really, really good on the floor. And I think New Orleans, they're trying to find out where they're going to be. And having a nice looking jersey like this at least gives the fans something to look forward to if everything doesn't play out as well as they'd hope. Moving on to the Oklahoma City Thunder, here's the jersey from the leak. Again, it's a little hard to tell exactly what we're seeing here, but I do have a mock-up of it with a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander jersey. This is from the OKC Tracker on Twitter. And again, it looks really, really good to me. I actually really like it. When I was looking at this leak, I was like, well, I'm not sure about it. But seeing this jersey here, this mock-up of it, I'm actually in love with this jersey. I think it's one of the better looking ones from the entire leak. I really, really like it. The blue and white contrast across the chest here. In this picture, I was like, well, I'm not exactly sure. It looks like a little busy, but with this like kind of cleaned up, more, readable look, I'm really excited about it. And I think this will look really, really good for Oklahoma City if this is their city jersey or if this is just an alternate jersey for them. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I do think it will look awesome. Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort rocking them. Thunder fans, hopefully you'll get a top 4 pick as well, and you'll have a really good product on the floor next season. Moving on to the New York Knicks here. I've got the Knicks now at this point, and this one right here, it's interesting to me. I don't have a mock-up for it. I don't have a comparison photo. It looks like another New York Knicks jersey, except it's got a little bit of that blue and orange gradient on the side. I don't think it's a bad-looking jersey by any means. I just am not exactly sure. It's pretty traditional to what the Knicks usually wear. And there's another example here, similar to the Bulls. It's all about their, market size and how iconic they are. They don't really have to do too much to their jerseys, so it looks like they're playing fairly safe with this one, but it does look good in my opinion. Moving on, we got a team that's not playing it safe here. Portland, rocking the PDX across the chest, which is interesting. They're going with their similar number pattern, and of course, there's the stripe across the jersey. Very accustomed there in Rip City, but the issue for me, well, not the issue, but the interesting part for me here is they switched the colors. So they went from the red to a teal color, which I think is going to actually be a really good switch up for the Portland Trailblazers. I don't unfortunately have a mock-up of this one. I would have loved to see a mock-up. I just haven't been able to find one. I'm sure some will come out in the coming weeks when some jersey editors, some people who are really skilled with Photoshop have some time to work on some of this stuff. But I do think this PDX jersey is going to look great, and I think Damian Lillard is going to be awesome rocking one of these. I think the Blazers are one of those teams to watch in free agency and the trade market this offseason. So hopefully they can put a really good product on the floor as well in these brand new jerseys. That would be absolutely awesome for Trailblazers fans. Toronto Raptors here. I don't have a jersey comparison or a mock-up for this one either, but I do think it's very similar to the Toronto OVO jerseys. Of course, you can tell Drake has a little bit of influence there with the Raptors, just given the color combination, the black and gold. It's very iconic for Toronto. They've really built into that, and I think it does work really, really well for them. Issue for me is that it's a little plain looking, even with some of the design graphic on there. I know there's going to be a little bit of like two-tone gradient into that, but I do think they could have done a little bit more with this. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, but it probably does look good on the floor, and if they have a cord that goes along with it pretty well, I think it'll be a pretty good product for them on the floor. The one thing though too is the fact that it says Toronto on there, not Raptors, makes me think that they'll wear it for road games because usually teams at home wear their team name. For example, they would wear Raptors jerseys at home, and then when they're on the road, they would represent their city with the Toronto one. So perhaps they plan on using these on the road more frequently, which is interesting to me. Moving on now to the Philadelphia 76ers. No mock-up again for this one, but you see it says the city of brotherly love on it. So that's interesting to me because Ben Simmons probably didn't feel too much of that brotherly love there, of course, though. That there's a lot of biblical ties to that based on Philadelphia being a city back 2,000 years ago. So it's interesting here, city of brotherly love. There's a lot of talk about that with Philadelphia. They do look good. It looks like a pretty plain jersey though. They've done something like this before with a lot of font across the chest. I don't know if I necessarily love it. This is probably one of my least favorite jerseys just because it does look a little plain. Again, we don't really know what the side or back looks like though from these leaks. We just have the front base of the jersey. So maybe there's more going on that I don't see, but I'd probably have to give this a 5 out of 10. I think it's interesting. I think it's unique. I'm just not exactly sure if I'm in love with it. Moving on to the Phoenix Suns, and Suns fans, you got to be excited because we have 2 jerseys for you guys. Of course, this is a massive throwback one to the Charles Barkley era of Phoenix Suns basketball, and I think this one looks really good, and it's going to be very nice in an updated format. It's essentially the exact same jersey. I don't think that there's anything different about it, and I do think it looks really good. I think Suns fans, you should be excited about this. Devin Booker jerseys of these are going to fly off the shelves. Same with Chris Paul. Suns fans, you've had a great product this year on the floor. I don't see that changing going into next season. And you get some nice jerseys now to complement the play on the floor. And then we also have really unique city jerseys. And what these remind me of, a few years back when they had the orange base ones with the Suns logo on there. I don't have that as a comparison on here, but Suns fans, you're going to know what I'm talking about, where they just have their logo across the chest. Most teams don't do that. The Suns did that, and I actually really love those jerseys. Thinking back when Ricky Rubio was playing there, those look really nice. Except now they went with an extreme color difference, which is really interesting to me because I've never ever thought about the Suns rocking a teal look. They're going with that here, though. It does look good in my opinion, and it's really weird because it looks like they got some red here, some red piping along the collar and along the shoulders. So it's going to be one of the most eye-popping jerseys in the NBA if these leaks do come to fruition. If they do, though, Suns fans, you should be extremely excited because I think it does look really good. Washington Wizards, we've got 2 jerseys for the Wizards fans as well, and I'm kind of in that group now as well just because Kristaps Porzingis is playing there. Porzingis is one of my favorite players in the league, so maybe I'll have to get a couple KP jerseys for sure for the Washington Wizards. But here obviously you have the Michael Jordan / Gilbert Arenas era jerseys. And the interesting thing to me here to watch is how much do they use this little like bronze color that they have on these jerseys. I'm not sure if that's going to return in it. It's hard to tell in these leaks. Of course, this is a blown up image. You can't really tell for sure. I think that the bronze is going to come back. It looks like it is there on the side piping. But either way, I do really like these jerseys. And the one thing too that I think is a little different is I think they moved their number up. Before, historically, it was like down in this area, if you can see where my mouse is. Now I think it's going to be up a little bit higher. So you see the gap here from where it is on Gilbert Arenas' jersey. You can see that 0 maybe starting up here and going about this height. So a slight tweak to it, but all in all, I think it's a very similar jersey, and I think it's going to look really good on the floor. Another one here, but this one's really extreme, and I love this one. This is the one I'm probably going to get of Kristaps Porzingis. It's a pink base. You've got some pretty cool stuff going on the side here. It looks like a little bit of a gradient speckle on the side, and I also do really like the shoulders and collar here. I do have a mock-up of this one, and I love it here. You got the stars is what they're projecting on it. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be stars myself. I think it's possible it could be. It does look like it could be stars. It also looks like it could just be speckled dots. But either way, this jersey looks really, really great. And Wizards fans, this is going to be an awesome one to see on the floor. What I'm hoping for is I'm hoping the Wizards introduce an alternate court with this that incorporates some of this pink in there. Look really good. I think it'd be really eye-popping on the screen. But then again, it does say Washington, so maybe they're planning on putting it for road games. So we'll have to watch and see if that's exactly what they're planning. But this jersey is very eye-popping to me. I love it. The only thing I'm not exactly sold on is this piping right here on the side. If this is going to be that far forward, it might look more natural on a player as well, though. So perhaps that's something we're going to have to wait for to see. San Antonio, I don't have mock-ups for these jerseys for the Spurs, but they do have two different jerseys here as well. This one, a little bit more of that traditional San Antonio Spurs feel. Black and white jerseys. This is kind of what they usually traditionally go for. Very safe, very calm jerseys. And then this next one's the one that I know Spurs fans are going to be excited about here. And it's these Fiesta style jerseys again. Kind of reminds me of the NBA All-Star game back when Michael Jordan played, with the game in San Antonio specifically. That's what these look like. I probably should have incorporated that into this video because it does look fairly similar. And I do think these are going to be good looking Spurs jerseys. One interesting thing to me here is this shoulder sleeve is a different color than this one, which I think opens up some of the flexibility for Spurs colors in the future as well for jerseys. This one does look really nice though, and I think this will be a good looking jersey for the Spurs. Moving on, we got the Detroit Pistons here, and of course, the name that stands out to everyone about these ones is probably Grant Hill, which is why I chose him. These are essentially the same jerseys. So you're going to be seeing Cade Cunningham rocking these Detroit Pistons jerseys next season. And this is another one that I think really does bring some validity to this league, because you're looking at a jersey that I know a lot of people want to see back. And it makes sense for the Pistons now with the ushering of a new era with Cade Cunningham. They've got some really nice young talent. They're going to want to bring in a little bit of excitement. And these old Pistons jerseys are exactly the thing to do it. And then here, the last team we have, the Brooklyn Nets. And again, this is another one where it gives some validity. These Nets jerseys here, these are what I expect to be the city jersey for them. Very, very similar to these city jerseys they had a couple seasons ago when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant first came to Brooklyn. You got the BKLYN across the chest with the Nets logo, or with the Nets writing there. And again, you have that little 3-point arc and the lane there, essentially. Very, very similar to me to what these black ones were for them. I'm interested to see if they have any of that texturing across the actual body of the jersey like they do in this black one. But for the most part, I think it looks really good. And then again, another one that gives me some validity here. This is the last jersey leak we have. This is from the Brooklyn Nets as well. And of course, the name you think of is Dr. J. These are the exact jerseys they rocked many, many years ago. And it looks really nice. The only difference here is it looks like they moved the blue more to the side in these ones, so it looks like it's no longer going to be coming across. Like the blue historically would have been like up to here and would have been coming across the front of the jersey a little bit more, but it looks like it's going to be traditionally more so on the side. So it looks like they moved it over about 2 inches toward the side, and I do think that'll actually be a better look here now for the NBA. And it's going to be a really nice jersey as well, so I could see Kevin Durant rocking these with the Brooklyn Nets next season. This has been today's video. I know there's a ton of different jersey leaks. Comment your favorite one below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think these are a really good crop of jerseys, and I do think there's a lot of validity to these leaks. Again, that's thanks to Casey Vitelli for leaking these on Twitter. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe as well if you're new. Let me know again your favorite jersey from these leaks in the comment section, and let me know if there's going to be any that you buy from this. Maybe we'll do a jersey giveaway of some of these as well in the future. So thanks again so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.